Alcoholism and loneliness. It's a massive subject because when people are lonely, they can get depressed very easily. Now, I started drinking because I was quite nervous in social circles. I did a lot of socialising. Even in my teens, I played in a band. We used to go to gigs a lot, concerts and all that, and I had a few drinks here and there, and plenty of friends, usual thing. And then I joined the police force, police services it is now. Ended up in London, the West End, had lots of friends there, police and non-police. Used to go drinking with all sorts of people, news editors and solicitors and all that sort of thing. We had a big drink culture in the 80s, 90s, to be honest, every profession. I used to meet some Joey lads who were builders, go on the drink with them. And when he was flowing pretty well in the late 80s and 90s, there's plenty of overtime for people. The economy was better than it is now, I think. Although it was a bit of a house crisis in 89, 90, it picked up and it was pretty good for a long time. And everything was sweet. Lots of friends, lots of socialising, all this sort of thing. And as time went on, it was pretty much the same. I used to drink in a pub called the Forest Gate in Epping. There was all sorts of people in there. There's myself, there was a police officer, there was a solicitor there, the person was a buyer for Liberties, there was a market store trader from Soho, or Berwick Street Market in Soho was in there. All of us lived around the Epping area, and we all got to know each other and just had a bit of a group thing, We used to go over there for about 5 o'clock, and I used to take a dog called Major, and he used to eat the cheese and biscuits and all that, and the pub landlords knew the dog better than I did. Once my mother came down, parents came down to look after him when we were on holiday, they took him to the pub and said, "Oh, hello Major." I didn't ask about me. So anyway, life was going well, plenty of friends, plenty of socialising. But when drink takes over and it becomes a controlling factor in your life, you become very insular. And the anxiety with me became more and more pronounced. And then when I eventually came up north again, I got divorced and obviously was on my own. Did a bit of dating, but I didn't really push it too much. But I still had friendly friends. I made new friends in the northeast. I had a few old school pals as well, but didn't really meet up with them very much. But as the illness progressed, I found myself maybe drinking in the pub too much, and also maybe drinking at home too much as well. And it sort of filled the gap. What I'm going to do with my time? Retired, maybe I should have got another job. That's all in hindsight. So I started drinking a bit more, and then I started maybe a little bit of the hair of the dog thing, not just on holidays, but pretty regularly. I start to feel a bit rough. Or I'll have a couple of cans of lager to pull me round, and then I'll get the pub. I could walk then, and then I had a few heavy sessions, a few relapses. I got some diazepam, came off it. And I came off it and then back on it a few times, and the longest period was 8 years when I was off it, and I felt great. 2014 I relapsed. That was my last relapse, which nearly killed me. And the person I was with then, we split up, and I was left on my own, completely on my own then, because my parents weren't very happy with the situation, because I'd been off for 8 years and I'd been a good son. My daughter said, "Dad, why have you hit the drink again?" Because it catches up with you very quickly. If you've been off for a while and you start again, it's very dangerous, and it's called the kindling effect. Worth having a look at that on the internet, the kindling effect. If you stop and start, your withdrawals get worse, and your body can't handle you having to drink again. The longer you're off, the worse it is. And look, there's a lot of people think, well, the longer I'm off, my body will recover, but it doesn't. Because your liver detoxifies and it's getting hit again by the alcohol. It doesn't matter what you drink. I drank lager, you can drink spirits, wine, doesn't matter what you drink, it's all got ethanol, it's all got poison in it. If you drink regularly, you will have some liver damage. If you haven't, you're very lucky. Because a lot of regular drinkers think, oh, I'll just have 5 or 6 pints most nights. It's still going to cause damage in the long term. The average age for alcohol-related deaths is 57. And it's getting younger, because more people are drinking. I know people say the youngsters of today, 17 to 25-year-olds aren't drinking as much. I'm still not sure about that, and my liver consultant at the hospital isn't sure about that either, because they're getting a lot of young people in with hepatitis caused by alcohol binges and all that sort of thing. Cancer is being detected more in 30 to 40-year-olds as well, some of which is linked to alcohol, esophageal cancer, pancreatitis, or pancreatic cancer, liver cancer, all these sort of things. So when I got back into the drinking heavily, that I was drinking more or less every day, I became just sort of sat in my flat, and I went downhill rapidly. I ended up with no heating, no hot water, all this sort of thing. I had rats in the flat, and I became extremely lonely. Then I used to just try and get myself out for an hour or so in a cab to get the local pub again. But I used to just sit on my own sometimes. And when I look around now, when me and my fiancée go out for maybe a meal or something at lunchtime, mainly older men on their own, isn't it? Partners will put up with it, you see. Partners will not put up with you drinking. I would say that it's all men, because there's a lot of women drinking as well, too much. But you become totally lonely. So I was ended up in this flat alone, me and the rats, which is horrendous state to get into. And what really woke me up one night was one crawl across the bed, and I was like, oh my God. The bed was completely broken, the slats had failed, and hadn't changed the bedding for ages. I hadn't washed properly. I went down 9 stone. I was horrendously alone, horrendously physically weak and mentally weak, and pretty tortured really by the whole thing. And when you're in that state, nobody wants to know you, you know. I couldn't walk very far, but even the people in the pub would look at me and say, God, what's wrong with him? Some people had an idea. But it makes you completely on your own, then maybe you don't want to speak to people, because this anxiety kicks in and you can't be bothered with people. You can't go anywhere. If somebody says you want to go to a birthday party, you think, oh, I can't do that. You know, I've got a few drinks before. You get too weak with it all. And a lot of people I speak to on here and help on here are very lonely, because they feel so anxious to ask for help, even with family. Some families tend to be a little bit down the line of mine, where, oh, you drunk yourself into this state, it's your fault, you know. Maybe it is, I don't know, but it is an illness. It's recognised as an illness now. But you will become extremely lonely, extremely ill with it. That's why you've got to stop it. Stop it before I stopped it, because I was close to death. If you need any help, then get into contact with me. I'll put a link in the description. But my point is that we start off with this social drinking, where I'm, you know, king of the pub, and all the lads here, all the girls are here, and we have a great time. And it brings you down to being very solitary, and you end up being on your own, completely on your own. And then I end up on my own in a room in a hospital during COVID for nearly 2 years. That's being alone. The nurses and doctors coming in with masks on, you know, basically saying things aren't looking too good. Sodium levels down, liver issues, kidney issues, all this sort of thing. Somehow I managed to pull myself back, mainly by focus, trying to get myself a little bit of exercise. It's not a sort of sprint. This is a marathon to get well again, if you're not feeling too clever. And you don't want to get to the point I was in, where it's just seriously, in fact, critically ill at one point. So think about the loneliness, think about how you're going to be. All you've got is you when you drink, really, in the end. Because your friends, or so-called friends, will just disown you. They don't want to know. And when you get sober again, life's great, isn't it? But you've got to concentrate on it. You've got to have a reason to do it. A lot of people will relapse because they think, oh, I'll go here, there and everywhere. I'm a social person. Everyone else is having a drink. They'll think I'm stupid if I don't have a drink. They'll think I'm a bore. Be a bore. Look after yourself. Because at the end of the day, if you don't look after yourself, you can't look after anybody else. And nobody's going to look after you. So think about that. And think about how lonely and desperate it gets. You've all been there when you've had withdrawals. You've all had anxiety. No one helps you, do they? I mean, generally the GPs will maybe refer you on to somebody, but you need medical help if you're really, really stuck with it, which I was. I had seizures. But they stopped giving diazepam out. It was very difficult to get that now, in the UK anyway. And just think about it. Get yourself put together and reach out for some help. There's a lot of subscribers on here who are very experienced with this, because they've been through it. And they will help you. And I'm here to help us all. I don't want to see anybody else get to my state. There's photographs on some of the posts. If you go back through them, the community posts, you'll see how ill I was 5 years ago. I was death warmed up, to be honest. Death warmed up is the best I can describe it. If you benefit from the channel, please subscribe and share it, because I hope it's getting the message out there. I think I'm doing the best I can to try and turn things around for people, because there's a start warning. And my belief in this is only 2 roads. You carry on drinking, you'll have an early death. You stop drinking, and then you'll live a long or longer, happier, more fruitful life. That's the way to look at it, isn't it? You've got no middle ground. There's no social drinking going on here. It's either all or nothing. That's the only way to think of it, and it's one day at a time. Still is for me. One day, especially in the summer. You walk past a pub and think, oh, just pop in for a pint. Well, I've substituted that with a zero drink. It doesn't have any effect on me. It doesn't start me off with cravings. It's just something to have as a drink. It's a bit of a habit, isn't it? Going to a pub and having a few drinks. And as I say, have a great evening. Any help you need, give me a shout. Speak soon.